After 3 long months of sleepless nights, the Millionaire's twins discovered a heartwarming secret. The attic was a treasure trove of dust and shadows. Alex and Emma Dyer climbed up the creaky stairs, both feeling the weight of their expectations slipping beneath the crumbling floorboards. For months, they had tossed and turned, wrestling with their futures while their father's ambitions loomed like spectral shadows in their pristine suburban home. As Ohio's cozy evenings draped over their manicured lawn, frustration turned to desperation. Alex wanted to break free, while Emma felt bound to familial loyalty, and this attic represented their last chance to find clarity. Among the old boxes and forgotten antiques, they found it, a leather-bound diary with faded ink. Their grandfather's voice echoed from the past, weaving a story of grit, resilience, and unwavering community spirit. It spoke of a different kind of wealth, not the kind their father flaunted but something deeper. Tears filled Emma's eyes as she turned page after page, their grandfather's hardships and triumphs igniting a fire in both twins. The realization that they held a legacy of empathy in their hands was almost overwhelming, but just as hope began to take root, the reality of their father's expectations clawed back. He wanted them to uphold the family name, to inherit the thriving business he built with iron fists and steely ambition. The pressure intensified, turning their shared dreams into bitter arguments. Emma wanted to please their father, Alex envisioned a charity that could change lives. Each night turned into a battle of wills, love strained beneath the pressure of dreams colliding. One tempestuous evening, as thunder rumbled outside, Alex laid bare his soul. "Emma, if we start a non-profit, I know we can help families like the ones Grandpa fought for. We could change lives." His passion radiated off him like electric sparks. Emma's heart raced, divided. She yearned for change but feared the disappointment that fluttered behind her father's eyes. Then came the moment that would test their resolve. The twins decided to host a gathering in the community park, a chance to share their vision. They felt invigorated, believing this could bridge the chasm growing between them and the world. But when they revealed their plan to their father, expecting support, everything shattered. The argument escalated, cutting deeper than either could have imagined. "You're throwing your future away." He slammed his fist against the mahogany table. The shock hung in the air. Heartbeats pounded louder than any words could convey. In the aftermath, Emma found herself in the attic again, clutching the diary like a lifeline. The weight of a secret she had unearthed felt heavier than any family expectations. Something in her grandfather's past intertwined with their own struggle, revealing a painful truth. Just as she felt the urge to confide in Alex, doubt loomed over how this would change everything they had been fighting for. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Both twins stood at the crossroads, looking towards the paths of their futures. Would they follow the path laid before them, or would they dare to carve out their legacy? As the shadows of doubt flickered around them, Alex's determination surged. Their grandfather's stories echoed louder, urging them to rise above. Would they take the leap together, or would their bond fracture beneath the weight of legacy? One truth rang clear: the diary had awakened something within them, a purpose waiting to bloom. Emma clutched the diary tighter, her fingers trembling as she flipped through the thin pages, each filled with her grandfather's hopes and dreams. Maybe there was a hidden answer in the words. Just behind those beautiful script curls lay something profound, a connection that could redefine everything. She could feel Alex's gaze on her, curious and hopeful. "Emma," he urged softly, breaking the silence. "What's in there? If it's something that could change everything for us, we need to know." Taking a deep breath, she scanned yet another page, her chest tightening as she spotted a passage about community struggles during tough times. With each word, she felt the tug of something greater, calling to her. "He had a plan to help," she began, her voice trembling but strong. Grandpa wanted to start a community fund to support families in need. He wanted to build something real, something meaningful. Alex's eyes lit up, the fire in him rekindled. Then let us do that. Let us bring his vision to life. We can honor him and make a difference together. But fear was an uninvited guest standing between their excitement. Emma felt it creeping back, tangling itself in her heart. What if Dad finds out? What if he hates us for it? Alex stepped closer, determination set in his jaw. This is our chance. We can show him that we're not just extensions of his dreams. We can create our own path. The storm outside raged on, the wind howling as if agreeing with Alex. Emma knew he was right, and yet she wanted to believe that pleasing their father wouldn't cost them everything. She wanted to bridge the wall between her desire to do good and her need for approval. Finally, she looked at her brother, the resolve in his eyes piercing through her doubts. We need to talk to Dad again. But this time, we go in prepared. We share Grandpa's plan. Maybe, just maybe, he'll understand. The idea rippled through the attic, a glimmer of hope. They could make a presentation, drawing from their grandfather's story, focusing on legacy over legacy. Emma nodded slowly, her stride gaining confidence. Okay, let us do it. With renewed purpose, they marked the days on the calendar until their proposal presentation. They spent countless hours crafting their vision, filled with passion and hope. Emma found herself poring over the diary, and each page made her feel closer to the grandfather she never met, yet felt she knew so well. As the day approached, anxiety fluttered in Emma's stomach. Would their father even listen? The thought of facing his wrath again made her second-guess every moment they spent planning. Still, she pressed on, reminding herself that this wasn't just about her or Alex, it was about the families who needed their help. The day finally came. They stood together in the living room, rehearsing their lines like soldiers preparing for battle. Emma caught Alex's eye and smiled instead of feeling afraid. Whatever happens, at least we'll know we tried, she whispered. The moment felt electric. Their father walked in, the weight of his presence almost suffocating. Alex took a deep breath and began. Dad, we want to show you something important. Just then, their father's phone buzzed, a stark reminder of the life of power and wealth that loomed over them. Emma's heart sank. Would he look at them with disdain again, as if they were foolish children? Or would his stubborn heart finally open to the idea that there was more to life than money? Let us show him, together, Alex whispered, taking Emma's hand, but just before they began, a knock echoed through the door, sudden and sharp. Emma's heart raced. Who could that be? They exchanged anxious glances as the door swung open, revealing a figure from their past, someone they never expected to see again. What secrets would this surprise visitor bring into their already tumultuous lives? The door creaked open, and there she stood, Megan, their estranged aunt. Emma's breath hitched at the sight. Her presence felt like a ghost from a lost chapter, a specter of the family history they buried deep in the past. The last time they saw her, it had ended in harsh words and tears. Emma could see the stormy clouds behind Megan's eyes, reflecting years of hurt, regret, and possibly hope. Emma, Alex, Megan's voice held a fragile strength, wavering but firm. I know this is unexpected, but I had to come. Emma's heart raced. The last time they had spoken, their aunt had chosen money over family, siding with their father in a fight that had torn them apart. What could possibly bring her back now? Why? Alex cut through the silence, his brow furrowed with suspicion. What do you want? I came to make amends, she said softly, her words tumbling out as if they had a life of their own. I regret how things ended between us, and I need to tell you something important. About your grandfather. Emma felt the weight of those words. The diary, the fund, could there be a connection? What do you know? She whispered, her pulse quickening. Megan stepped inside, her gaze flickering to the diary cradled in Emma's arms. I didn't think you'd still have that, she murmured, pain etched across her face. Grandpa had big plans for this town. He loved it and all of you. He wanted us to work together, to build something that mattered. Then why did you leave? Alex's anger dripped like venom, but Emma could see the flicker of pain lurking behind it. Why did you just abandon us? Because I was afraid, Megan said, her voice trembling like the leaves outside. I was scared of being caught in the web of your father's ambitions. But walk away I did, and it's the biggest regret of my life. Emma choked back emotion. The swirl of feelings inside her was overwhelming her, betrayal, but most of all, the faintest glimmer of understanding. What do you want, Megan? Really? I want to help, she replied, sincerity flooding her features. I've gathered resources, connections. My life is different now. I want to support your grandfather's vision. I can help you launch the community fund. A sweeping silence hung in the air, thick and heavy as they processed her words. Emma felt torn. Could they trust her? Could they afford to deny this chance? Why now? Alex interjected, uncertainty clouding his tone. Why should we believe you after all this time? Because I finally see what's truly important, Megan said, her eyes filled with genuine regret. It's not about money. It never was. Look, I know it seems impossible, but I've learned my lesson the hard way. Family matters more than wealth. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just a chance to make things right. Emma glanced at Alex. His eyes mirrored her own conflict, wariness mixed with the flicker of hope. Everything they had been planning suddenly felt possible. If her aunt could help, what could they achieve together? Before she could form a response, her father's voice called out from the hallway, the door still half open behind them. What is going on in here? Panic surged through Emma. The confrontation she had prepared for. What would happen if he saw Megan? Would he snap, further fracturing their family? Emma, Alex, we need to. Her father's eyes fell upon Megan. Instantly, the air grew thick with tension. Dad, wait. Emma's voice broke, but the words were too late. A storm brewed, but what kind of storm, an eruption or a revelation? Emma's heart raced as her father's expression shifted, confusion and something colder flashing across his face. She sensed an inevitable confrontation looming. What secrets would surface, and which ones would be buried forever? The atmosphere in the room crackled like static electricity. Emma's heart pounded as her father stood frozen in disbelief, eyes darting between Megan and his children. The silence seemed to stretch on, thick and suffocating, filling her with an urgency to break it before it shattered. Dad, please, she urged, stepping forward. The tension was unbearable, like a tightly wound spring ready to snap. Just hear her out. Emma, he said, his voice low and measured, do you have any idea who she is? After everything? She's family, Emma shot back, desperation creeping into her voice. Maybe she can help us with the fund. It's what Grandpa wanted. His gaze flickered, caught between anger and the faintest trace of recollection. Emma could see the storm within him, swirling memories of arguments and betrayal. But she also saw a flicker of that old warmth, the love for his father that had once united them all. Megan mustered her courage, stepping closer. I understand how you feel. I made my choices, and they weren't easy. But I want to fix this. I've messed up, but I need to explain. Emma's father squared his shoulders, the tension radiating from him palpable. Fix this? You think it's that easy? You walked away, Megan. You chose money over family. I know, Megan said, pain washing over her features. And I've lived with that regret every single day. But I can help you honor his vision. Don't you want to do this for him? A flash of something bittersweet crossed his face. Emma's pulse quickened. Was there a chance he might listen? She held her breath, hoping he would remember the love that had once filled their household. Alex shifted beside her, agitation writ large on his face. You're talking about trust, Aunt Megan. Why should we believe a word you say? His voice was sharper than intended, raw with emotion. Because I know what I've lost, Megan replied, tears glistening in her eyes. And I can't bear to lose my family again. I've seen what happens when you put greed before those you love, and I want to help you prevent that. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in as emotions fought for dominance. Emma glanced at her father, searching for any sign of softness, any hint that he was beginning to thaw. Just a sliver of understanding would do. Dad, we can do something good here, she pleaded. Grandpa loved this town. He wanted to see it flourish. With Megan's help, we can actually make it happen. Just think about it. Think about what? He countered, fury igniting in his eyes. About trusting her again? About getting burned? Trust is hard, Megan admitted, her voice a whisper. But I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just a chance to prove I've changed. As silence thickened again, Emma felt her heart divide between her father's anger and her aunt's pain. This was a precarious moment, one that held the potential for something great or the risk of further destruction. Please. Emma's voice trembled. Just one conversation. Let us talk about what we can do together. Her father's face softened imperceptibly, as if a flicker of hope seeped through the walls he rebuilt. But the shadows of past pain still lingered. The air felt charged, thick with unspoken words and possibilities. As the seconds stretched into what felt like eternity, 1,000 emotions played out in the silence: longing, betrayal, hope. Emma sensed the pull of change, the thin line between acceptance and denial. Then, without warning, her father stepped back, shaking his head. I don't want to hear more of this right now. I need time. Disappointment crashed over Emma like a wave, but she clung to the thread of possibility. Megan's eyes reflected the same heartbreak. What if time runs out? Megan whispered, a hint of dread in her voice. What if this town needs us now more than ever? Emma looked at her father. In that moment, a new understanding settled in her heart. They weren't just standing at a crossroads, they were facing a reckoning, but before she could articulate thoughts buzzing in her mind, the familiar sound of tires screeching outside caught her attention. What now? Alex whispered, a note of fear creeping into his tone, and then the door burst open, bringing an unexpected visitor into their midst, someone from the past that could change everything once again. Emma's heart raced. What chaos lay just beyond that threshold? The door swung open with a creak that echoed through the tense silence, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Emma squinted as the figure stepped into the dim light, her heart racing even faster. It was a familiar face, one she hadn't seen in years, yet it felt like the ground was shifting beneath her feet. Tom. Emma's voice broke through the thick tension, catching everyone off guard. Her mind flashed back to lazy summer afternoons spent at the lake, laughter echoing in the air. He had been a friend, a solid presence in her childhood until the day he abruptly left town, disappearing without a word. What are you doing here? Alex asked, disbelief written all over his face. Tom took a step inside, his eyes scanning the room before landing on Megan. There was a flicker of recognition, followed by something darker. I came back to help, he said, his voice steady yet laced with unspoken history. Help? Emma repeated, her brow furrowing. She could feel a storm brewing. What do you mean? I've been hearing things, he started cautiously, each word weighed down by meaning. About the town's struggles, about your family's plans. I might be able to provide some resources. Her father's expression hardened, instantly suspicious. Why would you care now? You turned your back on us. Things changed, Tom replied, a crack appearing in his confident demeanor. I know I left, but that doesn't mean I don't feel for this place or for you all. Emma's mind swirled. It was one thing to think she might convince her father to listen to Megan, now another old wound had reopened. Could they possibly trust Tom, with his sudden reappearance and vague promises? Emma's right, Megan chimed in, desperation lacing her voice. We need to hear this out. If he can help, but her words trailed off, overshadowed by the weight of history. Help? In what way? Emma's father challenged, crossing his arms defiantly. You think we just roll over and trust a ghost from the past? I get that you're angry, Tom replied, holding his ground. But I have resources now, connections and funding opportunities that can help your grandfather's vision. I know it's a risk, but isn't it worth considering? Emma felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. If Tom actually had a way to help, maybe he could bridge the chasms that had widened over the years. What do we really have to lose? She spoke up, her voice gaining strength. The memories of their shared past loomed over her back then. They were invincible, bound by dreams and laughter. Tom looked at her, and for a fleeting moment, they both remembered. That summer at the lake, the promises, the hope for brighter days. But they also knew that the present wasn't just colored by memories, it was filled with heartache. It's not going to be easy, he added, swallowing hard. Nothing worthwhile is, Megan asserted, glancing at Emma's father as he wrestled with his instincts. The room fell silent again, and Emma held her breath. Would her father take the leap? He opened his mouth as if to speak, then hesitated. The tension in the air was palpable. Every second felt like a lifetime. Before he could find the words, the sound of a siren wailed in the distance, a sharp reminder that time was slipping away. Each second took them closer to a decision they didn't want to make but couldn't escape. I need a moment, her father finally said, retreating to the far end of the room, leaving Emma feeling adrift. Time's not on our side, Megan whispered to Emma, eyes wide. Tom shifted uncomfortably, and the weight of uncertainty hung like fog around them. As the siren sound waned, Emma realized that beneath the chaos of feelings and turmoil, there was a fragile thread of possibility. Just how many secrets were hidden in their past, waiting to intertwine with their future? The question loomed before her, leaving her restless, as if every heartbeat was pushing her forward. What awaited them just beyond the chaos? Emma watched her father pace at the far end of the room, shoulders tense as he seemed lost in thought. The flickering light overhead cast shadows that danced and jumped, mirroring the turmoil swirling inside her heart. Tom's presence had stirred up memories she thought were buried deep enough that they couldn't resurface, not like this. Maybe he really can help, she murmured, half to herself. Megan glanced at her, an understanding glance that spoke volumes. They both felt the weight pressing them down, the burden of their dreams and the fading hopes of this town. Tom shifted again, breaking the quiet. I wouldn't have come back if I didn't believe I could make a difference, he said, facing Emma directly. It was a look that coaxed out the bridge between their childhood camaraderie. There's a company interested in investing in local initiatives. They want to revitalize struggling communities. I've got their attention. But they need a compelling proposal. Her father stopped and turned slightly. A proposal? And you think we can just throw something together on a whim? You expect us to trust you after all these years? Trust doesn't come easy, I get that, Tom replied, frustration bubbling slightly under the surface. But I know what it's like to see a place you love fall apart. I want to do something good, for all of us. His eyes darted to Megan, then back to Emma. We have a chance to turn this around. To bring life back to what once thrived here. Emma could almost hear the heartbeat of the town echoing in that moment, a melancholic rhythm of what used to be and what might be again. She remembered barefoot walks along dusty trails, laughter rising like bubbles in the summer air. Those days felt so far away, and yet a glimmer remained. Dad, she said, taking a step closer. What if we at least hear him out? What do we have to lose by just listening? Her father remained silent, his brow furrowed as he stared into the distance. The siren had long faded, but the urgency bristled in the air. Just imagine, Megan added, her voice now charged with a spark of hope. A community garden, a small farmer's market. It could bring in tourists. We could create jobs. We could make people want to come back to this town. Someone has to care enough to try, Tom said, his tone softening as he met her father's eyes. I can't change the past. But I can help forge a new future. We just have to put our faith in each other for once. There it was, the hope laced within desperation. Emma held her breath, urging her father silently to see it. The storm of emotions whirled in her chest as she waited for his answer, her heart thudding like a beat against glass. Finally, he sighed and rubbed his temples, a sign that perhaps he was considering it, wrestling with his pride as well as the hurt of the past. But he didn't speak. The minutes stretched painfully. Emma felt the heaviness of doubt creeping back in. If they lost this chance, would they ever find another? Did trust have to come first before anything could be built? "Dad," she said softly, bracing herself to cross that invisible line between the child she'd been and the adult she aspired to be. "What if this is the first step? Not just for us, but for everyone. Don't you want to see this town thrive again?" Before her father could respond, Tom interjected, "I'm in this for the long haul, whether or not you believe in me right now. I just want to help." The room fell silent as her father's gaze flicked from Tom to Emma and back again. Emma's heart raced. Would he finally summon the courage to let the past go for the future? But just as the air began to thicken with possibility, the old wooden floor creaked abruptly, startling them as the door swung open yet again. A new figure stepped inside, its silhouette cloaked in the dim light, bringing with it an overwhelming rush of uncertainty. "Sorry to interrupt," the newcomer said, glancing at them all with wide eyes. "But I think I have information you need to hear." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was this new interruption a blessing or a curse? What new secrets were about to unfurl? The figure stepped fully into the room, and the flickering light revealed a woman in her 30s with tousled hair and eyes that sparkled with urgency. She looked familiar, but Emma couldn't quite place her. Perhaps she was one of the town's old friends or a distant neighbor. "Who are you?" her father asked, his tone a mix of caution and curiosity. "I'm Hannah," she said, smoothing her shirt and offering a nervous smile. "I grew up here. I moved back a few weeks ago. I heard about what's happening, and I think I can help." "Help how?" Tom asked, crossing his arms defensively. "There's a grant," Hannah said quickly, her words tumbling out like a train off the tracks. "For community development. It's small but could be a start. I know the application process and some people who could assist us in getting it together. A project like the one you're proposing? We could qualify." Emma could feel the tides of hope shifting slightly. This could be the breakthrough they needed. "How much is the grant?" she asked, her excitement spilling into her voice. $5,000, Hannah replied. "It doesn't seem like much, but it's enough to get the ball rolling. Fund the proposal, maybe even start on the community garden." "What's the catch?" her father interjected, suspicion lining his features. "There's no catch, at least not for us. But it has to be turned in by the end of the month. Time is short. If we want this town to thrive, we need to act fast." Tom smiled slightly at that, and Emma felt a jolt of energy pass through her. "Then we need to start now," he said, moving closer to their unexpected ally. "We need to gather everyone's ideas. If we all work together like we used to, we can make it happen." "That's the spirit," Hannah exclaimed, a bright light in her voice. "I've already talked to a few local businesses interested in helping. If we pool resources, we can really make an impact." Emma's heart soared at the thought of everyone coming together. "We can hold a town meeting," she suggested, "share the vision, and get input. It's important that everyone feels involved. They need to believe it too." Her father was silent for a moment, considering the unfolding possibility. Emma could see the wheels turning in his mind, a flicker of hope igniting in those tired eyes. "What's our first step?" he finally asked, the tension in his shoulders easing just a bit. "Let's get the word out," Hannah said, her voice steady with determination. "We'll make flyers, set up a time. I'll even take it to the coffee shop." Suddenly, the room felt charged with purpose. Emma looked around at Tom, Megan, and now Hannah. The air was alive with the potential of what they could accomplish together. Before they could get lost in the excitement, her father cleared his throat. "Okay," he said slowly. "But we need to make sure this is real. I don't want to raise false hopes." The weight of his words hung in the air. Emma felt the familiar knot of fear tightening in her stomach. Yet amidst the concern, a flicker of longing sparked within her. The town needed a dream to rally around, didn't it? Something to awaken the sleeping heart of their community. "Let us not waste time," Tom urged. "Let us get started. It's time to fight for our future." As they all leaned together, sharing bursts of conversations, ideas flowing freely, Emma couldn't help but feel the tides were finally changing. Each word exchanged, each plan devised felt like planting seeds in bare soil. But just as her heart began to bloom with optimism, she heard a faint sound sharp and distant like shattering glass. In that brief moment, hope slipped from her grasp. She turned to find the source, feeling a chill run down her spine. "What was that?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling as she strained to hear in the stillness. Everyone paused, attention nodding in their expressions. What if this new hope came with hidden dangers they hadn't yet faced? Emma felt the storm brewing again, the nagging question invading the room. Could they truly handle the trials that lay ahead, or would the past come crashing down upon them like that sound? The room fell silent, the air thick with uncertainty. Each face turned towards the dark corridor outside, where shadows danced erratically under the flickering light. "What was that?" Megan finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The unease spread like wildfire. Emma's heart raced as she edged closer to her father. "Maybe it's just the wind or something outside," she murmured, hoping to quell the rising dread. But deep down, she knew there was something unsettling about the noise, something that momentarily cracked the hopeful facade they had just built. Tom took a cautious step towards the door, his body tense with cautious instincts honed from years of small-town life. "I'll check it out," he declared, determination in his voice. "Wait," Hannah stepped in front of him. "Let us not jump to conclusions. What if it's nothing, or worse? We don't know what could be out there." A wave of protective instinct rushed through Emma. She didn't want to see anyone come to harm, not now, not when they were so close to igniting change in the community. "Let us just stay put for a moment. Maybe it was just a bottle or something breaking." But the words felt hollow, drowned out by the heavy silence. The sense of urgency swelled again, and it suddenly seemed as if the very walls held whispers of the town's past. They had all borne witness to the decay that left them feeling stranded and vulnerable. The sound somehow echoed that reality. "Let us focus on what we can control," Tom said, finally turning back to the group, though his brow was still furrowed with concern. "We need to plan our meeting properly. This grant right." "The meeting?" Emma interjected, eager to steer the group's focus away from the growing tension. "We need to make people believe we can actually turn this around." "Maybe we should hold it at the park," Hannah suggested, her hands fidgeting. "Somewhere familiar, outside, where people feel safe." "Agreed," Emma said, finding comfort in a solid plan. "And flyers, we can start with the coffee shop. They draw crowds there." As they brainstormed, trying to fill the room with hopeful chatter, the brittle tension remained, wrapping around them like an unwanted shroud. Emma's eyes occasionally flickered toward the door, half expecting it to swing open, bringing in some unwelcome presence. Could they really achieve their vision of community renewal? Or would fear continue to hold them captive? Time was not on their side, and the past had a way of creeping back in just when hope seemed strongest. Then, just like the night's ambience shifted outside, a new sound cut through the darkness. A loud knock echoed from the door, firm and insistent. Everyone froze, hearts pounding. Who could that be? Megan whispered, her eyes wide with shock. "Stay back," Tom said softly, instinct taking over. He gestured toward Hannah to grab a nearby flashlight, his face painted with a mix of defiance and concern. Emma held her breath. What if this was the moment where everything changed again? but in a way none of them anticipated. The tension coiled around them, and hope mingled with fear. She stepped back, the knot in her stomach tightening. Who was outside, and why were they here now, in the midst of their plans? With a shared glance that said more than words could, they readied themselves, hearts in their throats. Could this be the breakthrough they were waiting for, or a new threat to everything they were building? Tom turned toward the door, the flashlight trembling slightly in his hand. The beam of light sliced through the darkness, casting eerie shadows across the room, illuminating the anxious faces around him. "Stay behind me," he instructed, his voice steadying into a hushed command. Emma's heart raced as she mirrored the tension in the air. This was so unlike the meetings they had before, where passion and purpose filled the room. Now, they were weighed down by dread and the palpable unknown. The knock sounded again, louder and more demanding, shaking the stillness. Tom took a deep breath, pushing the unease aside as he approached the door. "Who is it?" he called out, trying to project strength despite the fear gnawing at him. Silence stretched like an elastic band, taut and ready to snap. The night felt heavier, as if holding its breath alongside them. Emma's eyes darted around the room, searching for reassurance from her friends. Hannah's grip on the flashlight tightened, her knuckles pale against the metal. "It's me. Kent." A familiar voice broke through the silence, tinged with urgency and a hint of confusion. Emma's heart leaped. Kent, the town's long-time mechanic and often the reliable voice in the community. He was not one to make his presence known in such an urgent manner without reason. Tom unlocked the door cautiously, the mechanism clicking softly. He swung it open mildly, and there stood Kent, panting as though he had run a marathon. His eyes swept over the group, picking up on the tension in the room. "Thank God you're all here. I was starting to worry." Megan's brow furrowed. "Worry about what?" "There's been talk," Kent said, glancing over his shoulder as if to check for eavesdroppers. "People are saying strange things are going on around town, more than usual. I heard something alarming this morning. Someone was spotted near the old mill." The old mill. Just the mention of it sent shivers through Emma. It had always been a point of fascination, yet also a source of rumors and fear, the perfect breeding ground for a town's ghosts and secrets. She exchanged a glance with Tom and Hannah, their thoughts racing in sync. "What kind of strange things?" Tom pressed, falling into his role of protector again, brows knit together. "Whispers, odd lights," Kent replied, shaking his head. "Some folks are feeling uneasy. It's as if the past is coming to haunt us." Emma felt a chill creep into her bones. She had hoped for change, for their dreams of community renewal to be unhindered. But how could they do that if the shadows of the past were rising again? "What does this mean for us?" Emma asked, unable to hide the mix of despair and determination in her voice. Kent swallowed hard. "It means we need to act fast. I came to warn you, if we want to hold that meeting and make a difference, we might need to confront whatever is happening." The weight of Kent's words settled over them like a thick fog. Did they even have the strength to face this unknown? The thought of rebuilding their community now felt tangled with the very foundations of fear that had been keeping it down. Hannah's voice broke through the silence. "So what's our next move?" "We can't let fear win." Tom turned to Emma, his eyes searching hers for answers. She could feel the pressure mounting, pushing against the hopeful resolve they had built. With precious time slipping away, and shadows lurking just outside their door, Emma gathered her breath. "We can't let the past dictate our future. We need to confront this together, but how?" The room buzzed with a mix of fear and determination, the air charged with the potential for change. They were on the brink of something monumental, yet consumed by uncertainty. Emma's heart raced, feeling the pull between hope and dread. As they stood together, ready to face whatever was haunting their town, one thought echoed ominously in the back of her mind: could their small community really withstand the challenges creeping out from the shadows? And just as they began to discuss their next steps, another sound erupted from beyond the door, a low growl, sending chills down Emma's spine. Suddenly, All the hopes they had fought for felt merely a breath away from being shattered. What was lurking outside, ready to confront them? The air in the room felt electric, charged with uncertainty and bravery. Emma clutched the diary tightly to her chest, her heart echoing against its leather cover. They could either run or face whatever was lurking in the shadows. But she felt that this was their moment. With a sudden surge of determination, Emma stepped forward, locking eyes with each person in the room. "Kent, you're right. We need to confront whatever is causing the unrest. We can't let fear snuff out our dreams." Her voice rang clear, bolstered by a newfound courage. Tom nodded in agreement, and then shared a glance with Megan. "You heard what Kent said. If the town's uneasy, we need to dig deeper into what's really happening at the old mill. It's our past, our community, it's tied to us all." Every heart in the room felt the weight of those words. There was a collective understanding. Their quest for change wasn't just about bricks and mortar or plans for the community garden. It was about crawling out from beneath the shadows of their family histories. "Then let us diversify our team," Emma said, her excitement bubbling up like a freshly opened soda. "We not only need ideas but hands on deck. We'll gather everyone. The townsfolk deserve to hear this." "What if they're too scared?" Hannah asked, worry etching her features. "Then we give them hope." Alex interjected, stepping into the light. "We can bring them together, show them what their support can build." Emma felt a spark of inspiration igniting among them all, the shadows of despair slightly retreating. She could picture it, the community meeting filled with familiar faces, friends and families uniting, forging ahead with renewed resolve. Together, they could reclaim their town. "Let us call a meeting for tomorrow evening at the park," she suggested, her voice gaining confidence. "We'll invite everyone and share our vision, not just about the fund, but also about reclaiming the fearlessness of our community. We will face the past to honor the future." "Exactly," Tom exclaimed. "Let us make it clear that we're here to uplift not just ourselves, but everyone around us." Kent grinned, his initial tension easing. "I can spread the word. People will come. They want to rally together, they just need guidance." The darkness that had loomed over them all felt like a distant memory as Emma smiled at her brother and Megan. The embers of hope steadily kindled, pulsing with possibility. "Let us design the flyers tonight," Emma declared, enthusiasm bubbling over. "We need to get the word out fast." As the planning took shape, the strong bond of brothers and sisters, aunts and cousins, began to supersede all the hurdles that had tried to keep them apart. They brainstormed ideas through passion-laden murmurs and shared smiles, the room pulsing with energy. In the flurry of paper and pens, it felt as if every tick of the clock sped them towards something monumental. "Wait!" Emma called out suddenly, halting for a moment. "What about the growl? We still need to address that too." "You're right," her father spoke up, the hesitations woven in his voice. "If we're going to confront our fears, we must also find out what's lurking." Taking a deep breath, Emma turned to Kent. "Let us investigate the old mill together tomorrow morning. We might as well face everything at once." Kent nodded, his newfound determination making him look stronger. "Let us do it. This is the chance we've all been waiting for." The plans were set. Hope bubbled in every heart as they wrapped up the meeting, unified in purpose and ignited with strong belief. The following day dawned bright and crisp, illuminating the town with the warmth of renewed dreams glistening like sunshine. As they approached the old mill, a mixture of excitement and trepidation welled inside Emma. She could sense the air thick with possibility, echoing with ancestral whispers that begged to be heard. They approached the weathered structure together, a band of warriors ready to reclaim their stories. "On three, we enter," Tom said, his voice steady. 1, 2, 3. Together, they pushed the door open. Inside, a wave of dust swirled around them, a layer of stories waiting to be unearthed. Emma stepped further in, excitement merging with fear as they began to explore. In the shadows, they discovered remnants of her grandfather's ambitions, untouched echoes of hope buried beneath years of neglect, and there, amidst the clutter, lay old sketches and papers, plans for a community center, an idea held captive by time. "Look!" Emma exclaimed, holding up the brittle pages, her heart racing. He dreamed of this. The revelation hit hard. This was the very spark they needed to ignite the community's spirit, to reconnect them with their past. As the sunlight poured into the old mill, illuminating their find, the air shifted. What had once been a haunted monument of fear began to pulse with potential. They were claiming a future with hands intertwined, an entire town awakening to new possibilities. Back at the park, when night fell, the community congregated as families embraced this surge of hope. Lights twinkled above, framing the gathering with a sense of magic and unity. The past slowly gave way to the future as they spoke, sharing stories and rekindling connections. In the end, Emma felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. They were no longer just a family caught in a cycle of expectations, they had forged a new legacy together, writing their own narrative. As laughter rang out and new dreams were shared, Emma knew without a doubt, they had all changed. They would rise as one, fortifying their home against the shadows that had haunted for too long. This was not the finish line but a new chapter, filled with promise and rekindled relationships. Emma glanced at Alex, then Megan, and finally Kent. Their eyes sparkled with possibility. They had taken the leap, and together, they would change the world. If you feel inspired by this story, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes coming. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voices matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the power of community and the magic of connection.